What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Week 15 edition of the Swolecast here on Fantasy Insiders. I'm David Kitchen, joined by Mr. Tuttle 05, back from his trip to New York. We'll talk about that in a second. Also, Davis Mattek and Evan Silva from rotoworld.com. Guys, are we ready for a crazy Week 15?
It's going to be so fun. It's going to be so fun to get buried by whichever one of Bell or DJ you fade.
I can't believe it's Week 15 already.
It does seem kind of surreal that it's
Week crazy.
15. Evan, for like a small period of time, we had hope for Jerick McKinnon week.
I know, for about 8 minutes today. I guess Adrian Peterson is going to come back, take over the Asiata role, which means just like Asiata, averaging 1.9 yards per carry with repeated stuffs at the goal line.
So that leaves us to at least we can't play Gurley and Adrian Peterson like week one, stuffing in that opportunity.
60 combined carries. 60. Oh, man, that was maybe one of the worst takes on the show this year. I forgot.
I will never have a take that's worse than a Davis.
Tuttle, as far as your trip to New York, was it fun? You got to go with the kid? And
he hung out with his kid and his wife. They had a loose itinerary.
Right. It was great bringing a 4-month-old to New York. It was everything I had dreamed of. I mean, when I think of qualifying for a live final, I'm just like, first person I want to bring is a 4-month-old baby.
When you think about vacations, for sure you want to bring a 4-month-old baby to the most populated city in the United States.
Exactly. Don't bring a stroller or anything either. Just carry him around the whole freaking town.
Oh, I brought Davis to San Francisco for the FSTA. It's kind of the same thing.
Dude, I will say, if you bring just like a cute baby to New York or a populated area and just like have them facing out in a cute outfit, you can get so much booty if you wanted. Like if I brought a single guy along with me, he would have he could just pick anything.
We need to bring Jordan Case with you to the next live final.
Right? Yeah, we'll bring him to the next live final, and he can just like be my baby. He can be my Manny and just carry the baby around and pick up chicks.
He would do it. He would do it.
With his shirt off, for sure. He's got to do it. All right. Speaking of baby faces, we've got Harry's, the sponsor of the show, and we have the special holiday edition shave set while supplies last. Enter promo code SWOLE, and you also get $5 off checkout. This is like the perfect gift. If you want, just put it on your gift list, because it's basically like it erases the need to ever go get razors or shaving cream or anything like that. They just deliver it to your door. We all, Evan, you don't have the shave kit, but you don't really need it. Your face is like mine.
I gave it a shot and it was excellent, but I'm just not a man of shaving.
I still use mine.
I do too.
They should include like a pine tree scented shave cream for Christmas. That'd be cool.
All I know is when I put on the post shave balm, it makes me feel like a man. It makes me like I don't know. It just gives me confidence to go to my wife and be like, "What's up? Hey, you wanna go?"
Cool story, David.
All right, let's get on to week 15. But yes, promo code SWOLE for harrys.com, and appreciate them being a sponsor of the Swolecast. All right, week 15, we have basically to DJ or not to DJ.
I want to hear what Silva thinks about David Johnson this week.
Before I get to it, I would really like to hear Silva's opinion.
I want to hear Silva's opinion on what to do with David Johnson this week.
I bet without me on the show last week, we probably just had Soccer Dave spewing take after take, which nobody liked.
There was a lot of Drew Meyer like hyping up Colin Kaepernick. I remember that.
See, I get made fun of for this, trying to funnel things to Silva, but I mean, he's by far the sharpest one of us all.
It was like the opposite, you and Drew, because like you will sometimes forward your thoughts to, other people and then maybe give a take. Drew felt like after every player mentioned, even when we were doing our lineups, when other people would mention a player, he felt like he had to like talk about that player as well. Like he had to get in.
Sign off on everybody.
Yeah, he had to get in a note in about everybody. Dinkbot cannot compute. All right.
No, but seriously, Silva, DJ, what's up?
I mean, I think he's the best running back play on the week.
You think he's better? You think he's better than Bell?
I mean, they're both awesome, and in great spots. I think that they're, I want to play both of them again,
On FanDuel, you can totally play both of them. It's like you don't have to do any crazy gymnastics. If you want to play both of them on DraftKings, you're playing JJ Nelson, you're playing Jermaine Gresham, you're playing probably like Allen Robinson or Marquise Lee. Like you have to make some pretty suboptimal.
Oh, that sounds hot.
Yeah, it's bad.
Put Palmer in there and you have your onslaught.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing is like you all of a sudden like you take these guys who are fine, individual projected plays, but then all of a sudden you have 3 Cardinals in your lineup, and you're like, oh my God, how did I get here?
I mean, it's like Westbrook and Harden, though, right? I mean,
it is, yeah.
It's not that much different.
He's getting his triple double.
LaShawn McCoy, I don't think that he is projected for as many points as those guys, but it's certainly within the realm of possibility that he outscores both of those guys. Mm-hmm. So I think that he becomes a very, very interesting tournament play this week.
Yeah, his price, I wish his price tag was a little bit
right.
lower.
The one thing with DJ though is that the Cardinals are officially eliminated from playoff contention. So I think if you're taking a player who's $10,000 in salary, you have to consider all the possible avenues, and him losing carries because they don't have anything to play for and they're getting smashed by the Saints, which is in play. That could be brutal.
I think people are going to overweight that though.
He also has some records that are attainable.
Ooh.
I do think people are going to overweight it.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to have a lot of narratives on this show. I can feel it.
I love it. Love it.
I like that reference. I know exactly what narrative we're looking at.
Are we thinking Antonio Gates getting the record?
Oh, that's the top narrative of the week.
Look at that Silva smile. Oh,
I'm pumped for this. I'm here for this.
It's a thing.
All right, let's get started with our DraftKings lineup. And it sounds like we've got a winner already. I mean, I think it sounds like the Cardinals/Jaguars stack is going to.
Oh, God. It's this team, guys, this team I have saved as my placeholder in cash is like objectively terrible. Like these plays are so bad. JJ Nelson is not good, and neither is Marquise Lee, and neither is Jermaine Gresham.
Do we want to try to make a DJ Love Bell team on DraftKings just to see how ugly it's going to get?
Yeah, you have to. IMO.
Okay. Let's do it. So
I'd rather just play a Rivers Gate stack and win all the money. That's what I would like to do.
So DJ McCoy or DJ Lev, Rivers and Gates.
Yeah,
all right, that's our start.
All right.
So we're left with 3,900.
All right. Well, put in the Ravens defense. I think 3,100. They're a good mid-tier D.
That seems expensive.
Yeah. The best cheap D this week is like the Bucks though, and they're gross.
I think New Orleans is a little bit interesting at 2,400.
Palmer can implode at any time. I'm fine with that.
Can we really play especially if we have Nelson in there? Can we really play Nelson or Saints against our running back and wide receiver?
Detroit against Eli Manning, who's terrible at life.
I will sign off on Detroit.
Thanks, Kitchen Bot.
But I'm with Davis as far as Ravens. It's just if we need 500.
If we can squeeze them in, if we have the 500 left over, I'm fine with that.
Darren Sproles out. They already don't have a running game. It's going to force Carson Wentz to pass. Could get ugly. All right. So we've got.
We got to go JJ Nelson.
All right, Nelson. I'm going to throw in Marquise Lee.
All right, are we going to play Farrell? Chargers onslaught?
I would say since we have both Rivers and Gates, there's plenty of cheap running backs that we can use.
Dixon?
No, Dixon's got like a he's probably not going to start only if they get like a good passing game going, right, Evan?
I want Ty Montgomery in the flex or in a wide receiver position.
I like it.
All right, we'll put him in the wide receiver spot.
All right, and then that leaves us 4,500 at flex.
All right, and
I vote for Farrell. I think Farrell is the nuts this week. I think he just goes hammer.
I mean, he's not going to score a touchdown because Gates is going to get them all, but
I would go Yeldon, but if we played Ravens, we would need $100.
No, we have the Lions in there.
Someone's phone is ringing right now.
yeah, just come on, Davis.
Is that
It's
you,
not
Davis?
me. No, I always have my phone on silent. I'm a millennial. We never have our phones.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't think you guys would hear that. Sorry.
Oh no. And Evan's just like looking at the camera, like stop. All right. So if we want to play Pharaoh, we can with Lions D. So
I mean, that's not too bad. You get hopefully the majority of the touchdown
We
equity.
got like 9 touchdowns right there.
At least.
all right. So we've got
This team is objectively garbage,
Yeah.
and I will not be playing it in any contest.
this is why it's really hard to do because you got Rivers, David Johnson, Le'Veon Bell, J.J. Nelson, Marquise Lee, Ty Montgomery, Antonio Gates, Kenneth Farrow, and Lions defense.
Those wide receivers might not combine for 20 DraftKings points.
I'm just going to go throw up.
Yeah. Okay. I've got one correction to make. I would play Rashard Matthews over Montgomery, and then you can get in Yeldon and Ravens defense.
Rashard is so good.
Nah,
this
wave.
week.
Nah,
Rashard's gonna mash.
Ty Montgomery is going to outscore Rashard.
Did I miss something on Ty Montgomery?
Yeah, you missed his coach saying, "Oh, he could have 20 touches if he."
Hey! Remember when Soccer Dave told us to play James Starks like 2 weeks ago? And
That
he
was
got-
awesome. That was
No.
That was good.
I asked-
You're like, why wouldn't
No,
we
yeah,
play James
I
Starks at RB2?
This is a forward-thinking show.
4 attempts for a yard later.
Classic Soaker Dave.
But I mean, Evan can expound on the reasoning, but Starks is supposed to be out or likely going to be out. Michael's been missing practice all week with an illness. Montgomery back to 51% of the snaps last week for the Packers. Should see some heavy involvement again in the run game, as well as out of the shotgun, and get some decent target floor as well against just a depleted linebacking core for the Bears. I like the Montgomery call.
It's going to be cold as balls there in Chicago.
Well,
So
good thing he's a running back.
Yeah, a bunch of little dump offs to Ty Montgomery.
It's gonna be like what, like -1? Who goes to that game? What sort of sadist
Tuttle
leaves their house and goes to a game in -1?
Look at
Not me.
Tuttle. Look at Tuttle right now. That's the type of person that goes to a game. His
Dude, I'm
first
telling
ever
you.
Packers game was like -10 degrees against when Colin Kaepernick ran all over.
Yeah.
I went to a Chiefs game
brutal.
when it was like 7 degrees once, and I basically was like, after week 4, I'm never going again.
It's miserable. It is miserable.
Terrible.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to quarterbacks. It's an interesting week for
Ty God on DraftKings.
You got
Lock
to
it
play.
up.
You got to play the guy that if he struggles in the first half is going to get benched, right?
He's not going to struggle. He's playing the Browns.
I kind of agree with this. People think that like there's this inherent risk of him being benched, and with the Rex Ryan comments last week. But if he can't get it done against Cleveland, really, then he's not the guy. He shouldn't be the guy anyway. So anybody can get it done against Cleveland, even Tyron. But you've got other guys like Bradford and Simeon and Alex Smith, just guys that don't really excite you. like what Tyrod could do. Evan, we'll start with you as far as who you like at quarterback this week.
I think Flacco is kind of interesting. He's been a good fantasy quarterback in 3 of his last 4 games, and an above-average fantasy quarterback in 4 of his last 5 games. The Eagles, and I mean, the Ravens have really embraced this approach that they're going to be a pass-first team. And, I mean, it's certainly conceivable that we should have maybe anticipated Joe Flacco struggling for the first 10 or so games coming back from an ACL tear.
He also complained a little bit about the style offense they're running. So that helped.
Yep, true. So, I mean, he gets a great matchup. And right now, the Eagles, their pass defense is a top 3 to 5 matchup. Maybe the best matchup right now for the opposing quarterback. And Joe Flacco has been playing well. And, I mean, they have a deep group of pass catchers, so it makes you it's not real obvious who you stack them with. I mean, I think most people would say Mike Wallace in a tournament, but they're using like 3 tight ends. I mean, they're throwing passes to Nick Boyle and Darren Waller's catching touchdowns. They throw to Brashad Perriman, Kamar Aiken, Steve Smith, both of their running backs, especially Kenneth Dixon. I mean, they're a pass-first offense in one of the best passing game matchups, and that to me makes Joe Flacco kind of interesting this week.
All right. We've got our Flacco mentioned. Tuttle, what about you?
It's an interesting week when Tyrod Taylor and Joe Flacco are the first quarterbacks mentioned.
Oh, I have one more to add to this list.
And Tyrod
Kaepernick.
Oh, yeah. Kaepernick and Matt Ryan. I mean, Matt Ryan should definitely be.
You can't afford Matt Ryan.
He's tough to afford.
If you don't play DJ, you can definitely play him still.
No, Tyrod's probably my leading candidate for the week. But if not, I do like the Phil Rivers call, even though we played him in GPP. I think he's cash viable as well. I like him. He's got a really nice price tag on DraftKings where he's only $6,200. And I do think I'd slightly prefer him over Tyrod if you have the $500.
All right. You want to mention your boy Palmer?
Well, I don't know why Carson's my boy.
Because
you mention him every week,
like 4 weeks in a row. Like, you got to look at his price tag.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
If you're playing 150 lineups, you have to put him in at least 2.
Rewind the tape. I think I've mentioned Palmer like once this year.
False.
Rewind it.
All right.
Rewind it.
They do have a pretty high team total. I think also Delvin Breaux's going to be out of this game. So playing at home, maybe they just needed a little bit of Michael Floyd being off the team to skyrocket. Other potential people, we talked about Montgomery. I mean, Aaron Rodgers has been the QB1 on the season, and he feels like he has a pretty safe.
Well, and every week we find reasons to talk ourselves out of him. Like, oh, it's too cold. Oh, he's got the hamstring. Oh, he's got the calf problem. And he's like Luck. He just chucks it every week. They just throw so much.
Yeah, he feels like he has a pretty solid floor for.
I do want to say, I think Luck at 6,400 on DraftKings. Like, he's gonna throw 3 interceptions in this game, but he might also throw 3 touchdowns.
Oh,
Luck is a terrible take this week
on the road.
Well, I mean, I want to play the Vikings defense, but like Luck at 6,400, I don't know. That price is just weird.
All right. Anybody on Alex Smith at 5,400 on DK? Tennessee has just made quarterbacks look like superstars this season.
Davis loves Alex Smith.
Here you go, Davis.
I think they're going to win by a lot, so I don't think the game script is good. Like, if you think Alex Smith does well this week, you should just roster Travis Kelce in a bunch of tournaments.
Why do you think they're going to win by a lot?
Because I think the Chiefs are really good, and I think that the Titans are not exactly structured on offense to do well against them.
Interesting.
I do like Rashard, but I'm not like – I don't want to go overweight on the Titans this week.
Okay. It's an interesting take saying that they would blow out, and if they did blow out,
No, I just think they are a significantly better football team. Andy Reid is saving his stink bomb for the divisional round of the playoffs.
it feels like if they did blow out the Titans, that Alex Smith would be one of the reasons why they would do that.
Well, I don't think Alex Smith is bad. He was not. Like, I prefer Tyrod.
All right, let's get on to running back. We talked about Lev. We talked about DJ. Tuttle, you got DJ or Lev if you have to play one?
Love.
Davis?
Lev, yeah. It's so much recency.
I know.
Bias. It's so much.
I've got Lev as well. Just so all three of us, we do not have our Silva insurance card this week.
I mean, I'm not going to argue against Le'Veon Bell, dude. Like, don't put me in that box.
Okay, would you rather have Le'Veon or DJ this week, Evan?
I already said DJ.
Okay, so there you go. If you could only play one, we don't have the Silva insurance for that one guy. This is what is scary about this week. Last week we saw all the filler running backs go off, even the filler wide receivers. This week they're again.
It was the filler wide receivers that killed you if you didn't. Bell, DJ. Like, having DJ should have been terrible for your team, but Taylor Gabriel and Robbie Anderson both doing really well, and Emmanuel Sanders as well, basically meant that even then it was still optimal lineup construction to have.
Yeah, value chalk just went off.
DJ had 121 total yards and a 2-point conversion, and he was a bust.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had 18 and a half, but up until that late fourth quarter, you had all those 3,500 and 4,000 running backs on DraftKings that were outscoring him. So it feels like there's similar running backs. We talked about Farrow. Evan, you feel pretty good about his workload this week?
Yeah, I do. I mean, there was an issue last week where he had some issues in pass protection. I mean, he's an undrafted rookie. But, like the beat writers that I've talked to about the situation, they haven't gotten the sense that the Chargers are real high on Ronnie Hillman, at all. So I think that, as long as Farrow doesn't make major mistakes early in the game, he should be good to go. And, I mean, he's a guy who could play conceivably, if he doesn't make big mistakes, like 90% of the snaps. I mean, he's been there with them. Ronnie Hillman has been inactive. He's been on the team for like a month, or like 3 weeks, I think. But it should be Farrow's backfield.
Ronnie Hillman sucks. That's the professional take from this guy right here.
There's no doubt about that. It's just, so does Justin Forsett, and now he's getting touches. I mean, that's how it goes at this point in time in the season.
Are you going to Forsett this week, Davis?
Nope. I think my hot take of the week is the Denver passing game. Sanders and Thomas are like my boys.
Yeah, I think I like Simeon better than Alex Smith, who you were talking about earlier, Kitchen.
Yeah. It seemed like Simeon didn't have much of a ceiling. Then he went and threw for over 300 yards last week.
He's shown his ceiling a few times. They hit some play action bombs in that game against Cincy. He threw 4 TDs. In the last couple of weeks, he showed a ceiling against the Chiefs defense, and then on the road against the Titans.
All right. It just makes it real. It also makes it really easy for tournaments to do the double stack because that those two guys, Demaryius Thomas and Manny Sanders, are going to catch all the passes. But you've got Forsett at $3K on DraftKings. Stone cold minimum. Tuttle, what are you doing? What are you doing with the value running backs?
I don't know. It's so tough. I do think price per dollar or point per dollar play, I think I slightly prefer Forsett over Farrow. And I think that's kind of probably a little bit of a hot take this week. But I do think I'll dip to Forsett if I need that $1,400 elsewhere. But I also actually don't see you needing that money on DraftKings specifically, unless you are forcing in David Johnson and Le'Veon.
One guy who I thought was interesting on DK, actually 2 guys. One, Ryan Matthews. The matchup is terrible, but he's 3,900, and Darren Sproles is out. So he could get more passing game usage. And then Dwayne Washington, another terrible matchup, but Theo Riddick isn't going to play. And last week, without Theo Riddick, Dwayne Washington was 17 touches, over 60% of the snaps. And Zenner now is questionable. Zenner was their number 2 back last week. Zenner is questionable with a concussion. So if on Sunday morning Zenner is ruled out, then I think Dwayne Washington, he's got a shot at 20 touches.
You got TJ Yeldon.
No, we're missing 2 big guys that we need to talk about. The Falcons have a team total of 32.5, and no one is hyping up Freeman or Coleman. And
I'm down.
Both plays.
I'm down with Coleman. Freeman scares me a little bit.
I mean, Freeman has to score 2 touchdowns to pay off, but I think he can.
I mean, he got 6 carries last week, and
he was bad.
You and I had talked about this on the SiriusXM show. A game script. I mean, they scored 21 points in the third quarter, but even up until then, game script was not in his favor, and this week it could also not be in his favor as well. They could easily just rely on Tevin Coleman. That's what scares me about paying up for Freeman versus a guy like DeMarco Murray, who even though it's not going to be a great matchup, he's going to get the volume. Evan, what's your take on the running back situation there in Atlanta this week against San Francisco, who's just how they beat? I mean, they let Mark Ingram run all over them.
Yeah, really.
Mark Ingram on waiver wires everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen multiple games this season, several games this season, where 2 backs in the same game had big fantasy days against the 49ers. 49ers have no interest in winning games right now, and I think that they both can. I'm not afraid of Devonta Freeman, though. I mean, I understand, shying away from him in cash for the reasons that you mentioned, but they specifically wanted to involve Tevin Coleman more last week. They were without Julio. They didn't have Sanu. It made a lot of sense for Tevin Coleman to get more work. We put him in our DK lineup, et cetera, et cetera. We kind of anticipated that. We weren't on Freeman last week. But now this is the worst run defense. And the Falcons pulled their starters and they gave up, and they scored 2 touchdowns on defense. I mean,
right.
They ran fewer plays than they normally would. And now they should be able to run a lot of plays against San Francisco. And I mean, I think they're both awesome tournament plays this week. And they could both produce in the same game.
And on the opposite side of that, you got Carlos Hyde, who's just getting touches after touches after.
Yeah, that's the thing. Carlos Hyde has to be interesting just because the Atlanta defense still sucks, even if they're up 21-0. And
Todd Gurley just put up 17 DraftKings points on them. That's how bad they are.
If you convert that to a real running back, that's 35.
At least.
Gurley gets San Francisco in LA next week.
He might average 4 yards a carry.
He was he was wide open, and they missed him by 10 yards on that out route last night. Oh, it's so frustrating for him out there. All right, but this is the reason why we haven't even talked about Ezekiel Elliott. And there's guys like Latavius Murray also against San Diego. This is why it's really tough for me to pay up for both DJ and Lev Bell, because running back, it seems like maybe the week where there's been the most running backs in play. Like in the past, we've got 3, 4. It seems like there's just a plethora this week of running backs.
A veritable plethora.
I agree with that take, but I also think I still think ownership's actually going to be more concentrated than normal this week at running back.
Bell, DJ, McCoy,
Farrell.
Yeah.
Right. So I think it's great for GPPs because
the GPP dream.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, let's move on to wide receiver. And you got Antonio. Let's just assume that Julio Jones is not playing. I mean, he's doubtful. You've got Antonio Brown, you got Odell, you got Evans, and those are the 3 guys. Maybe T.Y. Hilton, but his price is a tier below. Where are you guys on the top tier wide receivers this week? And who do you think has the best chance at going off? And Davis, we'll start with you.
Odell smash week. It's going to happen. He should be able to get away from Slay some playing in the slot. Not that I'm Slay's never a guy. I
hope they leave him in one-on-one with Darius Slay.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not like Slay is this, Revis in his prime type guy, even though people try and talk. He's the best corner on the worst pass defense in football, so he can't be that good. I think Odell smashes this week because he has 36 targets over the last 3 weeks. He's been bitching to Eli on the sidelines about not getting looks. Like I think this is the Odell. What Levitan calls it, the eruption spot. This is the Odell eruption spot.
Yeah, but Levitan would not say that about Odell. He cannot stand Odell.
Well, Odell is one of the least likable players.
Very anti-brand. Whenever he broke off that pass last week, I mean, Levitan just signed off of Twitter because his mentions were on fire. All right, Tuttle, what about you? Top tier wide receivers, do you find anybody even remotely attractive?
Not really in cash games. I don't think you need to pay up at wide receiver. I think I agree with the Odell take as being the best point per dollar high tier receiver. But I also like Antonio Brown, even though Davis thinks he's a terrible GPP play every week.
Let's not get it. This will turn into a 10-minute conversation.
I like Odell more for tournaments this week than Antonio Brown, even considering ownerships.
We have a weather report in Pittsburgh, Davis.
My Google Home is in the other room. I can go ask though.
Are the birds chirping?
Hey Google, are the birds chirping in Pittsburgh? It doesn't know what I mean.
All right. It'll learn though, don't you worry.
It'll have to figure out, yeah.
So it seems like the tier below Mike Evans, I think, is an excellent GPP play just because he's 2 straight weeks. Recency bias, he's going to be very, very low owned.
Yeah, I like the Evans take.
Yeah, and like 5 straight number 1 wide receivers to face the Cowboys have hit pretty big.
Right. They're going to need to throw the ball. You've got also this Oakland game. This might be like the game of the week as far as fantasy players are concerned. We've already talked about Rivers and Gates and Farrow. You've also got on the opposite side, Carr. We didn't even mention Carr as a viable quarterback this week.
Yeah, some people like him in cash.
Yeah.
I don't know. Seems like enough smoke there to think there's maybe a pinky injury or whatever. Like I think he could be fine, but I don't think he's like a core player or anything.
But you got Crabtree sitting at $6K on FanDuel.
Yeah, it's Crabtree week.
Should be.
You agree?
Yeah, it should be. Absolutely. I mean, pretty much whenever Crabtree has the better matchup, he smashes. And it's really been like that more often than not this year. He's never like a sexy play, you know. T.Y. Hilton is really, really interesting to me because the Colts, I mean, they have to be aware of their pass protection issues. And they're not going to have Moncrief, who – when he missed 5 games earlier this year, T.Y. Hilton averaged 11 targets a game. So how are the Colts going to go about this? You know, they need to get the ball out of Luck's hands quickly, and they need to get it to a guy who can create big plays. And T.Y. is their guy. And I think that we could see a little bit more of Jack Doyle this week as well.
I liked your tweet about Doyle. I agreed with that.
He's min price, yeah, and he's another guy whose production was elevated in the absence of Moncrief, and he's min price on FanDuel. So if you think that the can show up here some and score some points against a really good defense, which hey, if Ty can rip some big plays, I think that they can. I think Jack Doyle becomes interesting as like a red zone and possession target.
You also have a week. You're a week late on the Jack Doyle take. He was on the championship team. Him and Travis Benjamin.
Oh, that's right.
Minus 0.5.
Old
hashtag skill game.
All right, people are going to kind of look at this. You mentioned it, Silva. I saw Graham Barfield tweet out yesterday. Raybon tweeted out today. 10.6 targets, 7 catches, 113 yards, and 0.8 touchdowns for T.Y. Hilton. I mean, that's just what he's been averaging in games without Moncrief. On the opposite side, you have Xavier Rhodes, who has been shutting down receivers this season. However, he's not playing in the slot, and that's where a lot of Hilton snaps are going to be. So I think it's actually like a good thing that it could be scaring away people from playing T.Y. Hilton this week.
I mean, the Vikings are good in the slot too, though. It's not like they're a sieve in the slot.
Well, don't scare me.
Right. You're not as worried about it. It's just like T.Y. Hilton has a chance to get 13 targets or 15 targets, and against even a great defense, that's very appealing to me. T.Y. Hilton getting that much opportunity.
All right.
Is it a hot take that the Colts just die? Like they just don't do anything?
No,
like
that's a little bit of a hot take.
That's very.
But it's possible.
I mean, that's my take. I think they just die.
Their center, right guard, and right tackle are all rookies.
Right. Yeah, I think they just get dominated.
Very.
I want to say my piece about Sanders and Thomas. Combined, they have 247 targets this year. The rest of the team has 203. The Broncos can't run the ball at all. The Patriots are third in run defense DVOA and 23rd in pass defense DVOA, creating one of the few actual funnel defenses. Denver also is an underdog in this game, so I think it's going to – they can't run. Devontae Booker is so bad. He can't do it.
Justin Forsett's awesome, though.
Yeah, he's great.
All right. You've got some receivers that are in that lower tier. J.J. Nelson, Cam Meredith, Allen Robinson is in the low tier on DraftKings at 4,400 as a part of the social experiment play of the week. You got Marquise Lee at 4K, Allen Robinson at 4,400. You also have Aldrick Robinson at 3,400.
We didn't talk about Taylor Gabriel at all.
Oh, and we haven't talked about Dontrell Inman either as a potential guy in San Diego. But as far as those low minimum salary to just above minimum salary guys, does Allen Robinson interest you in the least bit, Davis?
Yeah.
Oh!
He's Allen Robinson. He's 4,400. But like the Levitan tweet, we're giving him a lot of exposure this week, I guess. He was like, guys, 103rd in yards after the catch, 4th in wide receiver drops. Like he's just had this awful year and he sucks. And the matchup's not even that good. And his quarterback sucks. And I don't know, but it's Allen Robinson at 4,400. Yeah. When he was 6,000 or whatever, it was an easy fade.
Silva, what's your take on A-Rob?
Not really on him. Just
A-Rob or Silva? Or A-Rob or Marquise Lee?
I'm going J.J. Nelson.
All right.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay. What about Aldrick Robinson now if Julio is out?
Like Gabriel Moore.
Yeah.
Gabriel was one pass away.
Sanu is a little bit sneaky this week.
Yeah.
He can step right in and catch a ball.
I mean, Tuttle, I'm guessing you already know this.
Yes, I do know it.
The typical Tuttle take as far as Gabriel was one play away from being a total bust last week.
Yeah, I'm aware.
He's always like that though, and him and Tyreek Hill.
Yeah,
they got to play
another guy.
He's Anton Smith, and it's a matter of time before he just rides off into the sunset and does nothing again.
All right,
for the remainder of his career.
Anybody else that we want to talk about? Diggs, Tate, Jordy.
Oh, Diggs at 6,200 on DraftKings against the awful Colts. Yeah,
he's 6,300 on FanDuel as well. But I mean, they've got a new number one in town. His name is Adam Thielen. Am I right? Okay.
No.
Fitzgerald. Nobody. Sammy Watkins. Watkins against Cleveland. No.
I like Watkins and GPP.
Okay. Plenty of guys in play. It's going to be a fun / crazy week. 15. There's just so many guys in play. I think the wide receiver ownership is going to be spread out plenty on both sides. All right, let's go ahead.
I do have one guy.
Is this a total terrible take?
It's not a terrible take. I think it's actually a really strong take. If we're being honest, it's a guy that actually makes more sense in cash games because he's a guy that you kind of relate to with a higher floor than ceiling. But Jordan Matthews against the Ravens. Ravens are sneakily not good against slot corners. It's the only way teams can move the ball against them. Matthews is just an absolute target monster. I think he easily gets double-digit targets again this week. Has decent touchdown equity in this matchup. I like him.
He has double-digit targets in 5 straight healthy games where he didn't leave early.
Yes. Hopefully he stays.
J-Matt.
At J-Matt. We'll talk about tight ends in a second, but Zach Ertz has also been a target monster. Like, they've had to throw.
You love Zach Ertz so much.
No, I don't love him, but you can't deny that he has 28 targets in the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, Kelsey and Eifert are better.
And they have to throw. Well, they are better, but they're also very much more expensive.
Yeah, just roster both of them, and you get the complete Eagles passing game.
Zach Ertz is averaging 12 targets per game over his last 4. Imagine if Travis Kelce got 12 targets.
Oh, he'd have 100 fantasy points a game. He'd be the most expensive player on DraftKings.
All right, let's open up FanDuel and FanDuels, as our buddy Pete Manzanelli likes to say. We will start with the quarterback. I'm going to give this to Evan. Evan, who you want at QB? Don't go Flacco, because then we have to pair him with someone from the Ravens passing game.
Yeah,
I mean, we don't have to.
The 2 quarterbacks I liked on this slate were one played on Thursday night, one plays on Monday night.
Right. Yeah. And that's the thing. And also, you got the pretty juicy matchup on Saturday as well.
Let's make a Matt Ryan team. He's the best quarterback this week, and he's going to be pretty low on.
Or let's make a. We've already done a Rivers team. We can make a Simeon team if we want to.
What if we don't want to?
No, we don't have to.
All right, so if we play Ryan, who are we going to stack him with?
Gabriel.
What's
Oh man.
No?
I mean, we can.
Well, okay. All right, we can do it.
You know who is going to be the lowest owned Falcons receiver?
Who?
Mohamed Sanu.
That's what Evan just said.
Did he actually say that?
Yeah.
Good job, Dan.
I didn't say that, but he's jumping right back into a sweet spot, and no one's going to use him.
I like it.
All right, let's go. Can we put the Vikings D in?
Yeah, let's start with Vikings Forbath.
Love it.
Oh,
Forbath
I put Forbath in the Swolecast lineup last week.
Anytime you can play a guy named Kai.
That's why I did it. I did it for the Tuttle narrative, and I said Tuttle would love it. And he got, 5 field goals, I think, last week? He was
the man.
He was litty. All right, we got Vikings. We have Forbath. We have Matt Ryan and Gabriel. Let's go with Dan. You get to name a running back.
Man, Sanu's even $500 less than Gabriel.
I mean, we can play Sanu if you want to.
If you really feel that strongly about it, buddy.
I'll make that my pick. I'll make Sanu my pick.
So Sanu over Gabriel?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Let's just see what we can do if we roster Farrow.
I don't think we have to roster Farrow.
No, I know. I just want to see what sort of goodness we can get into if we.
I know, but I don't think you have to roster Farrow on FanDuel.
I don't think you do either, David. But this is a tournament team.
But what I'm saying is, like, he might not be the best tournament option on FanDuel.
He's gonna smash, dude.
We already talked about how you can play other. This is like a GPP week. We're gonna have Matt Ryan.
Fine. LaShawn McCoy.
Okay, get McCoy in there.
I dig it.
All right. I will go with Crabtree.
All right, Silva.
Zeke.
Ooh, okay. I want Demarius. Oh, there's no point though. There's no point in doing that because.
Dude, then you have like a 7th. You could go Kelsey if you wanted to.
Oh yeah. Kelsey Thomas. Ooh, that's hot. That's a good team.
Okay.
That's a real good team.
It's decent. Matt Ryan, McCoy, Elliott, Sanu, Crabtree, Demarius Thomas, Travis Kelce, Forbath, and Vikings. Not bad. You could go if you wanted to. You could downgrade tight end to
and play Odell.
Yeah, and get up to Odell for Demaryius Thomas.
Or obviously just play Mike Evans because of the primetime sweat.
Ooh,
Gotta love the prime.
Evans versus Zeke on Sunday night.
I knew that. I knew that would rope soccer day.
Yes,
So much late hammer.
That was the easiest.
Let's do it. And you can play Gates then at tight end then at 5,300.
We got all the narratives.
All right.
All in on Gates.
So you got Matt Ryan, McCoy, Elliott, Sanu, Crabtree, Mike Evans, Antonio Gates, Forbath, and Vikings. Let's do it.
Vikings D is gonna be so good.
They're only 4,500. Let's talk about tight end before we sign off. You've got against this Indy defense, you've got Kyle Rudolph, who is in play on FanDuel at 5,800. We talked about Ertz at 5,900. And, Kelsey 6,900, but there's definitely been some merit at paying up for either Kelsey or Eifert when you know they're going to get production, like compared to guys like Dwayne Allen, that you're not really sure of. So they're definitely with the Minsal and lower price wide receivers and running backs, you can definitely play them. Tuttle, what's your take on tight end this week?
If you're looking to go really cheap.
Oh, yes. I love when you started out like this.
Charles Clay, 2,800 DraftKings, 4,500 on FanDuel. Finally got a touchdown after like a year of not getting a touchdown. It's a great matchup against Cleveland. It's just a matter of if Tyrod can get him the ball or not, but it's a good spot for him.
Gresham's the chalk on DraftKings, though, right? At 2,500, a guy who's just been getting a lot of targets. Would you agree, Davis, that he's going to be the chalk?
I don't think he'll be the chalk just because he's Jermaine Gresham. And for him to be the chalk, that's going to necessitate people taking Bell and DJ, because if you don't take Bell and DJ, you don't need a minimum salary tight end. So no, I think he'll be chalky, but not the chalk.
So why did Jermaine Gresham become a thing?
Everyone's dying.
Just because Michael Floyd's terrible and their
offense is totally different from last year, and they're like a short passing based offense. And yeah, their outside receivers have all been hurt or, now cut. That's why.
Yeah. It just took him 8 weeks to get there, but he is now a thing.
Bruce Arians about 8 weeks to figure anything out.
Another Minsal guy on DraftKings that you could play. I think there's tons of plays on DK. Again, it's going to be a great tournament week. But Trey Burton is 2,500, and he got 10 targets last week. And he had 7 catches. Like we talked about how they're going to have to throw the ball a bunch. He could be one of those targets. 7 for 65 last week, and he's minimum salary. So he kind of has that same range of outcomes as Gresham this week. What about Delaney Walker at 3,900? He was he was a bad call away last week from being serviceable on DraftKings.
Rashard is going to goat, but I guess he can pick up the scraps.
Silva?
I don't use tight ends against Kansas City.
Yeah.
That's my issue. I like the 4 tight ends that I like are Antonio Gates, Kyle Rudolph, who we already mentioned, Jermaine Gresham, who we already mentioned, and Jack Doyle, who I already mentioned.
I like Kelsey quite a bit.
Well, of course. It's just, at their price.
Sure, yeah.
Ladarius Green and GPP.
Ladarius Green and cash. Ladarius the God.
Dude, by the way, I actually have an absolutely terrible take.
Oh, give it.
We gotta have it.
Do you want to?
This is the 1 in 1,500.
Do you want to guess at all?
Is it a tight end?
No, it's wide receiver. 4,700 on DraftKings.
Macklin.
Yep. That's the absolutely terrible take.
I thought you were say Marvin Jones.
Every single week, at least one opposing receiver has a big game against the Titans. Last week, 2 guys did, Emmanuel and Demaryius. So,
and they only scored 7 points or 10 points.
Macklin was almost 80% of the snaps
in
his first game back. Now he's coming off a long week. I think he's interesting.
Yeah, I think he's gonna be. He's a guy that's like 8% owned.
Yeah.
Oh, not even.
Give me Adam Thielen over Macklin this week.
You love
Win both.
scrappy
Win
Thielen.
win it all.
I've got a Thielen. All right. Thanks to Evan Silva from rotoworld.com. You can find his weekly matchups column. It is a must read. If this is your first Swolecast, first of all, sorry. Second of all, you know how important Evan's weekly column is. And also, Davis has his automatic absolute. Tuttle has his Tuttle's takes. And we've got the Platinum chat. And as you know, it is lit 24/7. We've got all sorts of
balling is a habit.
NBA, NFL, we've got it's a really fun chat, and there's strategy literally about every sport. There's a channel for every sport in the chat. So if you haven't already, enter promo code Platinum and get a little discount. That will do it for the Week 15 Swolecast. Best of luck, everybody, in your matchups. I really hope someone takes down a GPP. This is a great week, and hopefully we've listed enough plays that there's going to be some combo that goes off and wins it for you. We'll see you next week, Week 16, here on FantasyInsiders.com for the Swolecast. We'll see you later.